Breaking. Today is day 2 of the Diddy trial. As you know, Cassie testified today. She's going to be on the stand for a couple days, I predict. Now, earlier today, I did a commentary of everything that I thought I got from the live interactions and the live feed. However, now that the court has adjourned for the day, there is even more that I didn't even catch the first time. We got to get into it. So, hello, and thank you so much for joining me again today on the Community Ledger. Again, my name is Andrea Banu. So, we are going to jump right into it. Earlier today, I watched the entire case, right? And I did commentary on everything I picked up and how it corresponded with the original lawsuit. Now that court has adjourned for the day, there's been all kind of information from all sorts of media, legacy media, articles that have come out. There was stuff that I missed. I didn't even think that was possible, but that is correct. Even crazier stuff than I reported earlier today has now been revealed that came out in the transcript. I'm going to go ahead and read an article that was just presented by Variety that goes over a lot more details that I didn't give you earlier. We have got to go over it. So here it is. I'm going to go ahead and read this article word for word verbatim because it is very juicy. Like I said, I thought I touched on a lot earlier today, but it's even more that is in this article that I missed. So this case, again, is going to be crazy and it's only day 2. So let's go ahead and see what they had to say. Cassie fights tears during Diddy testimony, alleges 4-day freak off and physical abuse. He would drag me, kick me, stomp me in the head, right? Okay, so it says Cassie Cassandra Ventura testified against Sean Diddy Combs Tuesday morning, wiping away tears with a tissue as she described the physical abuse and daily psychological abuse she suffered at the hands of Combs throughout their 11-year relationship. Ventura, wearing a burgundy long sleeve top, was soft spoken and visibly pregnant, at times pressing down on her stomach and taking deep breaths. At least once, she paused to compose herself during questioning and said, "I'm sorry." Ventura's presence in the Manhattan courtroom marks the first time she and Combs have been in the same room since 2018, when they attended the funeral of Combs' longtime ex-partner, Kim Porter. Ventura began her testimony, which is expected to last several days, by describing the origins of her relationship with Combs. They met when she was 19 years old, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to go ahead and skip all that because we went over that this morning. I really want to get off into something deeper. Okay, so here it is. Not long after, on a trip of Miami, Combs and Ventura began having sexual intercourse. When she was 22, he introduced her to what he called freak-offs, which could be days-long, drug-fueled sexual experiences at hotels where Combs watched and pleasured himself as Ventura had sex with male escorts. When Combs first proposed the idea to Ventura, saying he liked the voyeurism of it, she felt nervous and confused. She didn't understand why it was a turn on, but she loved Combs and wanted to make him happy. Eventually, Combs introduced Ventura to organize the freak-offs, which involved hiring male escorts and setting up a hotel room for the 3 of them. They would occur as often as weekly. I spoke about that earlier, and last days at a time, with Ventura saying the longest one she remembers was 4 days. She was given drugs so she could perform for Combs for hours on end, and afterward, she would rest for days due to the sleep deprivation and dehydration. The freak-offs became a job where there was no space to do anything else but to recover and feel normal again, Ventura said. So these are actually Cassie Ventura's words, okay? Ventura said she didn't want to have X with strangers for Combs' enjoyment, but I didn't feel like I had much of a choice. I didn't know what no could be or what no could turn into, as Combs often videotaped these sexual encounters. Ventura feared that he could blackmail her for releasing the footage online, or blackmail her by releasing the footage online. That's another aspect that I forgot completely to talk about earlier, was that she did a lot of this out of fear of blackmail. Okay. Ventura said Combs would watch the footage back while having X with her on other occasions. Okay. At some point in their relationship, Ventura said she began to experience a different side of Combs, which was his abusive side. Arguments would turn violent, Ventura said, and Combs would knock me over, drag me, kick me, stomp me in the head if I was down. When asked by the prosecution how frequently Combs would get physical with her, Ventura sighed and said, too frequently. These violent fights resulted in injuries like bruises, black eyes, and knots on Ventura's forehead. Yet there was still love there, Ventura said. She also described suffering a daily psychological, oh, she also described suffering daily psychological abuse when dating Combs, saying he wanted control over every aspect of her life and career. She said he made her turn down professional opportunities while holding her music career hostage, and he often dictated her appearance and behavior, saying things were like, fix your face and watch your mouth. Combs would incessantly call and text Ventura, and he had his security guards consistently keep an eye on her. When she lived in New York and later Los Angeles, he paid for her rent and would show up at her residence unannounced via his own set of keys. She insisted upon paying for her own house in Studio City because she wanted quote unquote freedom. I wasn't getting it a lot in other ways, she said. Several hours into her testimony, Ventura was questioned at length about the logistics of the freak offs. Detailed Holmes procured the escorts. Photos of some of the escorts were shown to the jury as Ventura confirmed their names and described how each of them were hired. One, Johnny, was found on a website called Latin Men and contacted primarily in Los Angeles. Combs and Ventura found Jules on Craigslist or Backpage and would fly him to Miami, Las Vegas, and other locations for freak offs. Now, again, like I said earlier, this is very scary that you're hiring these random escorts off, Craigslist and Backpage. Anyhow, another was known to Ventura only as the Punisher. Typically, Ventura said Combs preferred a big black male with a large genitalia. Okay. Ventura said she would often book the hotel rooms under the alias Jackie Star. Combs sometimes used the alias Frank Black and Frank White. When the escorts arrived, Combs instructed Ventura to explain his voyeuristic fantasy and to try to suss out whether the escort was a cop. Ventura explained Combs' affinity for baby oil, saying they often use 10 large bottles of it, plus Astroglide lubricant per freak off. Combs would often heat up the baby oil and pour it all over himself. Ventura and the escort until they were glistening. Okay, according to Ventura, freak offs were highly choreographed events that were split into sessions that consisted of the same routine. First, Ventura and the escort would rub baby oil on each other and pleasure themselves while Combs instructed Ventura to comment on the escort, describing somebody's genitalia to another male was awkward and humiliating, Ventura said. Then Ventura and the escort would perform oral sex and then intercourse. Sometimes Combs would join in. Ventura said at the end of a session, Combs would sometimes instruct the escort. Now, this is the part that was crazy that I didn't even catch the first time. We're going to get into it. Sometimes Combs would join in, Ventura said at the end of a session. Combs would sometimes instruct the escort to ejaculate on Ventura's body and then tell Ventura to put the male liquid on his chest and his nipples. So, The escort would do his due with Cassie, finish on Cassie, and then Cassie was instructed to put the man juice all over Diddy's body, specifically his nipples. That's what he was into. Okay. Sessions lasted several hours, and one freak off could involve up to four. What? I didn't even. Wait a minute. I did not even hear this earlier. Sessions lasted several hours, and one freak off could involve up to four different escorts in rotation. No. I got to put that back up. I know I took it off the screen. That right there, I didn't hear about that this morning. I didn't hear that part this morning. I didn't hear that part this morning. I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say. Wow. Like I said, I watched this thing this whole morning and I did a whole long ass video giving my interpretation of everything. And it's like, how did I even miss this? How did I not even get these bits? This whole nipple situation. Like this whole, I mean, what? Wow. And this is only day two, y'all. This is crazy. Now, this is what Cassie was doing. And she was doing these damn things weekly. Okay. Every week. You talk about, and I know this is going to be explicit, but I mean, your private's got to be raw. Like, my God. Like, wow. Oh, and then they got two more people. I think one of the witnesses is still missing. One of the witnesses, one of the star witnesses is supposed to be testifying. They can't find her. Last I heard, they got somebody else that so they got another girl who was supposedly doing these freak offs too. I'm like, when do you even have the time? Wow. So it just sounds like this man's, and he has multiple girlfriends, multiple baby mamas. So it's like his whole life just consisted of just a bunch of crazy ex parties, freak offs, just madness. Like, when did you have time to actually like take care of your kids and work? Or is that what nannies and assistants are for? This is crazy. This is crazy. So, you know what? After I did my commentary, I wanted to get online and see what other people were saying with regards to the possibility of this being a trafficking case, and even the possibility of this, this racketeering. But I mean, a lawyer was like, listen, he's going to be hard pressed to get away with this solicitation situation. So at the bare minimum, like the one guy said, as a defense lawyer, if they just charge him with, procuring escorts, that would be like a slam dunk for them. That would be great for them if they could just get away with that. Okay. If he could just be found guilty of that, that could be a win. So that's already there, because he was already getting these escorts and moving and paying for them and going from state to state. So that's already a crime. Boo, done. They've already admitted to that. I'm sure the feds got the paper trail on that. That is what it is. So what the real meat of this situation is that whole trafficking and racketeering situation. That trafficking is where, the coercion and force comes in. Whew. And so, of course, multiple witnesses, I'm assuming, are going to be necessary to lock this thing in. And I mean, and truth be told, it's like, with as graphic as these details are, how do you have 12 witnesses sit and listen to this and not be floored, not be disgusted, not feel like, oh, you guilty of something? Because this is crazy. Like, it's a whole lot of people that get into a whole lot of freaky things, but this is a whole nother level that the majority of the population ain't on, right? So when you get a jury of your peers and you got to tell them about this kind of craziness, that's going to be rough. Okay. When they get back into that jury deliberation room, to have to talk about this and say, okay, what is he guilty of? Ew, like, ew. So when you get him in front of a jury and all those 12 people, a jury of your peers, get back into that deliberation room, that's going to be a hard sell. Like, even the women in there are going to be like, oh my God, like, they're going to feel like he's guilty of something just as a woman. Like, they're going to be like, this woman, like, I mean, this woman was forced to do these things while on her period. This woman was forced to do these things with like up to 4 different men for days at a time. Like, I mean, just the physiology behind that is like uncomfortable. Like, it, like, you see me squirming in my chair just thinking about it. Like, oh my God, right? Um, I don't see how you gonna sell that to a bunch of women on that jury. They gonna feel like, oh hell no, like, she was not doing this by choice. She was not doing this as a choice. Like, I can't imagine any woman doing that on a weekly basis while on your period with pee in your mouth for years voluntarily. Like, that's a hard sell. So it's like I said, day 2 is not looking good for Diddy. I'm assuming the defense is gonna get in her behind tomorrow. It's gonna be so juicy tomorrow because they are going to try to drag her for filth. And that is when that's going to be the opportunity for her to say, I did these things because I was in fear of my life. She's going to have to talk about the violence. She's going to have to talk about the threats. She's going to have to talk about the emails, the text messages. She's going to have to really go in about all the times that she ran to this friend house, to her mama house, and they came and found her and dragged her butt back. She going to have to really hold her ground on this craziness because this is insane. And again, my heart goes out to this poor girl to have to sit on that stand and express and discuss all of this debauchery and what she was subjected to and what she did. It's crazy. It is crazy. But again, I mean, I want your opinion. I want to know how y'all feel about this nipple situation. And I know that sounds crazy, but like, what are we talking about? Like, what is going on here? Like, this is insane. And I want to know your opinion because my mind is like blown. Like, woo, this is crazy. So, nonetheless, if you have not already subscribed, please do so now. And until tomorrow, okay? Until we come back tomorrow and discuss this craziness, this is the Community Legend. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe and watch the next video by clicking right here.